I've been doing like a deep dive into research for like moving Australia to renewable energy. And it has just led me to this like incredible realization of how profitable Australia could be if we were run on 100% renewables, which is completely doable. It's so cheap that it could be built without the Australian government. That never happens. Like coal, nuclear, gas, all of that, you need billions of dollars of government investment to build any of those things. These things are so cheap now that the Australian public could build them themselves if they wanted to. And as soon as we do that, we've opened ourselves up to all of these industries coming back to Australia, because the entire world is trying to get to net zero emissions. And if we have renewable energy here, it's going to mean that we can cleanly melt steel. This is like in like 10 years or whatever, melt steel, aluminium, all of these things. And the thing is, like, the reason Newcastle is, no offense, filled with a bunch of junkies is because I'm shooting up right now. Like,
mate, we are a town of learned individuals. What are you fucking talking about? Very smart.
Yeah, your glasses to take away the suspicion from the cops of like, no, I'm employed somewhere. Yeah.
No, I cook the meth on those over the stove. That's all.
Yeah. You're Heisenberg. Yeah, dude, but like, you would have remembered this, right? Like, there was a time where Newcastle was this massive steel manufacturer. Everybody had a job. The place was a lot richer as a result. All of that got shipped over to China because they can do it for free, because they don't care if like kids are just pouring like molten steel into a vat. So it's like, it's way cheaper to produce it there than it is here. But if you have renewable energy, which is free to produce essentially, all of a sudden it becomes cheaper to produce it here, which means those jobs come back to Wollongong, Newcastle, all of these cities that now, because there's nothing there, that's like, that seems to be the job there now. Either you work in the at Centrelink to help out meth dealers get their checks so they can buy meth, or your other job is you become a Heisenberg. You cook meth. It seems like it's like that's the industry there now. All of these problems are solved as soon as we move to 100% renewable energy. And like, I was looking at the numbers. If we got that, the steel and aluminium that moves over to to China and like to all these other countries that they're producing now, it's the equivalent of $400 billion Australian. If we were producing that in Australia, we have $400 billion going through our economy. And that's $100 billion in tax that then you can then just build all these other like, big expansive projects like this to make the economy stronger. It's like insane that we're not moving towards it. And so then I just realized like, it's actually really easy. All you have to do is change your super and bank to a superannuation account that doesn't invest in fossil fuels, which lose you money anyway, like renewables. Like during COVID, for instance, all of the ecologically responsible ones, like your future super, your ethical super, all of these ones, they've been making money during the COVID outbreak. All the ones that have been investing in fossil fuels and stuff, well, what happens when there's like an outbreak like this? Everyone goes home. There's like, the coal plant that has 700 people in it or whatever, they're just like, okay, you're redundant now. So they all lose money. But if you've got renewables, like you don't really need any maintenance. It's just the wind is just going there. So they're still making money during this outbreak. So it's like, it's good for you. It's good for the planet. It's good for the economy. There's no downside to this. It's like,
so why aren't they?
That's why I'm moving. Huh?
Why aren't they moving forward with it? Is it a technology thing? Is it they don't have the appropriate storage? What is it?
No, all of this is a lie. And it's a lie that is pushed by the fossil fuel industry. It's like there's a very niche but extremely profitable industry in Australia from the Resources Council, right? Like the people that mine coal, essentially. And they have just ungodly amounts of money that they can just put into lying to the public about the fact that, battery storage technology isn't there, or like, it's not always blowing and it's not always sunny, and like they've got all of these lies that they just keep pushing through the media. And because, you know, that's the only voice that you're hearing, is that, you know, like, it's impossible to get to 100% renewables, which is just a complete and utter lie. I've got an entire video on a Coke blocked on my channel if you're like interested in it, but it just goes through every one of their points and how wrong it is. And like, it's a complete and utter lie. It's the same thing as what happened with cigarettes, right? Like, you know, like in the 70s, how they were just like, yeah, it's all fine. And then in the 80s, they were like, you can't prove that it's linked to cancer. And then in the 90s, they were finally like, dude, it fucking causes cancer, you know? It's just that, like, but cigarette companies are so profitable that they can just put out all these bullshit doctors, like real life Dr. Nicks from The Simpsons, to sit there and be like, there is no link between cancer and and cigarettes, you know? Like, they can do the same thing with coal, and that is what is happening now. Wow. That's really why Australia isn't pushing forward through to it, because there's just such a powerful, cashed up lobby that is just saying no. But like, you know, for the Australian public's benefit, like, it's not in their interest for us to have 100% renewable, but it is in the interest of everyone else in the country to move towards this. Especially places like Newcastle and Wollongong, like the places that used to have these huge manufacturing industries, that they're going to be like, they're going to be what like Beijing and stuff are now. Like, a big reason that China is so profitable now is just because like the labor cost there is just so cheap. Like, you can just basically give people a battery to put in one of those like fan hats that they like, and they'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll work for that. You know, like, so you can't compete with that, right? So it's like, that's why they've gotten so rich, is because they've just gotten all of these industries from the West that have just been pushed over there. But in the future, like, that's not going to happen. It depends if we move to 100% renewable or not. But that's what's really driving me at the moment. I'm just really excited about this idea.